Imagine this. You wake up one day and realize your entire personality is just a collection of expectations, other people's expectations. You dress the way they prefer, you speak in the tone they're comfortable with, you shrink your dreams so they don't feel threatened, and you pretend you don't notice the way they take and take and take. And the craziest part? You call this being a good person. Cute, right? But let's tell the truth. The dark truth no one wants to admit. You're not living a life, you're performing a role written by people who don't even know who they are themselves. And the worst part? You've been playing this role so long that you forgot. You didn't choose it. And here's the psychological trap. You think you're choosing peace, when really, you're choosing to disappear. Most people who live for others don't even realize it. It doesn't show up with a sign. It shows up when you say, "It's fine," when it's absolutely not fine. When you say, "I don't mind," even though you do. When you say, "Whatever you want," because you've forgotten what you want. When every decision you make is filtered through one exhausting question: what will they think? Let me spoil the ending for you. They won't think anything. Because people rarely notice the weight you carry for their comfort. They only notice when you finally stop carrying it. And that's when they call you changed. But here's the thing. You didn't change. You returned to yourself. And people hate that. Especially the ones who benefited from your disappearance. Think about it. Society tells you to be yourself. But the moment you actually try, everyone suddenly has a problem. Because what they really mean is, be yourself as long as it fits our script. Be authentic, but not too authentic. Be confident, but not intimidating. Have boundaries, but don't enforce them. Prioritize yourself, but make sure we feel important too. Isn't it funny? The world wants you to be real, but only in a version that keeps them comfortable. Most people don't live for themselves because they were trained from childhood not to. You were rewarded for being obedient, not honest. Praised for being quiet, not expressive. Loved more when you pleased others, not when you chose yourself. And so you grew up believing that love is something you earn by self-abandonment. That approval is survival. That your worth is measured by how useful you are. Dark, isn't it? But here's a darker thought. Most people never escape this. They spend their whole lives trapped in invisible chains, mistaking them for moral responsibility. Let me ask you something simple. When was the last time you made a decision that wasn't influenced by someone else's wants, preferences, opinions, or judgments? When was the last time you did something purely because you wanted it, not because it made you look good, or kept the peace, or avoided conflict? It's scary, isn't it? How rare that is, how foreign it feels. Living for others gives you one subtle drug, validation. And validation feels good until you realize it owns you. Because once your identity depends on approval, people don't have to control you. You control yourself on their behalf. You silence yourself before they ever ask. You shrink before they even judge. You adjust your behavior before they even look. You become predictable, manageable, easy to handle. And people love that version of you because it demands nothing. But here's the twisted irony that no one tells you. The moment you start choosing yourself, the world won't clap for you. It won't cheer. It won't congratulate your emotional maturity. No, they'll get uncomfortable, annoyed, maybe even angry. Because suddenly, their puppet grew a spine. Their convenient, agreeable version of you stopped existing. And that's exactly when you find out who actually cared about you, and who only cared about the version of you that served them. So here's a secret. Living for yourself is not selfish. It's self-recovery. It's remembering that your life has a main character, and it's not everyone else. It's realizing that people who get angry at your boundaries were benefiting from your lack of them. And yes, choosing yourself will lose you some people, but losing the wrong people is just another version of winning. You want to know something dark? Most people don't want you to live for yourself, because it forces them to face the fact that they don't live for themselves either. Your freedom reminds them of their own cage. Your courage reminds them of their fear. And people hate being reminded of what they refuse to fix. So they call you selfish, dramatic, changed. They guilt trip you with phrases like, "You've become different," or "You don't care anymore." But let's be honest, if caring means sacrificing your mental health while everyone else enjoys the benefits, then maybe they're right. Maybe you don't care anymore, and maybe that's the healthiest thing you've ever done. Living for yourself means you stop choosing guilt over growth. You stop performing humility and start practicing authenticity. You stop apologizing for things that aren't your fault. You stop acting small so others feel tall. You stop explaining your decisions like you owe the world a PowerPoint presentation for every choice. And something incredible happens when you do. You meet yourself, the version you buried under expectations, the version that actually knows what it likes, what it wants, what it dreams of, the version that isn't afraid of disappointing people who were never truly satisfied anyway. Because here's the dark truth: no matter how hard you try, you will disappoint someone. But at least this time, let it not be yourself. Living for yourself isn't about rebellion. It's about recognition. Recognizing that the life you're living is the only one you get. And if you spend it trying to keep up an image, maintain peace, or earn approval, you'll reach the end and realize you never actually lived. So stop living for others. Stop playing roles you didn't audition for. Stop giving people access to decisions they don't have to suffer the consequences of. Stop shrinking yourself to fit places you've already outgrown. Choose yourself, not because it makes you powerful, but because it makes you real. And there's nothing more dangerous, more liberating, or more unforgettable than a person who finally stops performing and starts existing.